The sea is vast. It stretches beyond the horizon, endless and eternal. Its waves carry secrets older than time itself. Each ripple tells a story. Each tide whispers a memory. And if you listen closely, you may hear them. Legends say the ocean is alive, not just water, not just salt and foam. It has a heart that beats with storms and calms alike. At its center stands Poseidon, the ancient keeper of the deep. He is not only the god of waves and thunder, he is the guardian of mysteries hidden beneath the blue. Yet, the greatest wonders are not his alone. For Poseidon has children, born of the sea, yet touched by the world of mortals. They walk between two realms. They carry the spirit of the ocean within their souls. They are not warriors of steel or storm. They are dreamers, healers, singers, and guides. Each one a fragment of the sea's eternal story. And tonight, you will meet them, the children of Poseidon. Their voices rise like the tide. Their tales flow like rivers into the open sea. And in their stories, you may find yourself reflected. The sea is never silent. Even in calm weather, it breathes and sighs. Each wave carries whispers from ages long forgotten. Among these whispers lives a story of a child. Her name is Callista, the first daughter of Poseidon. She was born at dawn, where sea and sky meet. Her eyes shone with the pale light of morning tides. Her voice carried the rhythm of waves on the shore. From the moment she could walk, she listened, not to human words, but to the language of water. The ocean spoke to her in murmurs and songs. It taught her patience, and it gave her calm. The tides bent gently to her breath. The waves rose softly when she sang. Callista was never alone. Fishermen told of a girl standing on cliffs. She would raise her hand, and storms would pause. Sailors returning from far journeys felt her presence. When fog swallowed their ships, her voice guided them. Some believed she was a spirit of the sea. Others said she was a blessing from the gods. But Callista knew the truth in her heart. She was both mortal and ocean-born. Her gift was not power, but balance. She never ruled the sea. She listened. She never commanded waves. She persuaded. The people of the coast loved her deeply. Children played by her side, feeling safe. Elders bowed their heads when she spoke. They believed her words carried the will of tides. And in many ways, they were right. One evening, the sky grew dark with heavy clouds. Winds howled, and the sea grew restless. Sailors out at sea feared for their lives. Families on shore prayed for safety. Callista walked to the edge of the rocks. She stood firm as lightning lit the horizon. Her eyes closed, her breath deepened. She placed her hand over her chest, and she listened. The sea was angry, yet sorrowful. It did not wish to harm, but to release. Its waves carried the weight of storms unborn. Callista whispered a song, gentle and steady. Her voice wove through the roaring winds. The waves slowed, the storm softened. The sea calmed as though exhaling deeply. The sailors returned home, safe and unharmed. The people celebrated, giving thanks. But Callista remained quiet. She knew it was not her alone. The ocean had chosen to trust her. That trust was fragile, sacred, eternal. Her gift was not to change the sea. Her gift was to remind it of peace. Years passed, and her story spread far. Travelers came from distant lands to see her. They asked her to command the tides. They begged her to summon fair winds. Callista always gave the same answer. I do not command the sea. I only listen. And that was her truth. She was not a ruler of waters. She was its voice in human form. The tides moved with her, not for her. The storms eased because she cared. Her life became a living bridge, a bond between land, sea, and sky. And though she aged like all mortals do, the whispers of waves never left her. On her final day, she walked to the shore. She sang one last song for the sea. The waves lifted her gently, lovingly. And when she was gone, the ocean sighed. Her story remained in every tide's rhythm. Fishermen still claim to hear her voice, guiding them home on quiet nights. And so Callista lives on forever, not in temples or statues of stone, but in every whisper of the waves. The first child of Poseidon, the voice of tides. The ocean is home to countless creatures. From the smallest fish to the largest whale, each one carries a story, and among them lived a boy unlike any other. His name was Nereus, the second child of Poseidon. From birth, he carried a strange gift. When other children cried, he listened, not to people, but to the voices beneath the waves. The dolphins sang to him in playful notes. The turtles spoke of journeys across the seas. The whales told him of ancient paths below the currents. Every creature, great or small, trusted him. Nereus never needed nets or hooks. When he walked into the shallow tide, fish gathered. When he swam out to deeper waters, dolphins circled close. The sea was alive with voices only he understood. Villagers watched in awe from the shore. They saw dolphins leap beside his boat. They saw whales rise to greet him. Even the shyest seals swam near his hands. The people whispered that he was blessed. But Nereus did not see it as blessing or power. He saw it as friendship. Every creature was his kin. One summer morning, the fishermen grew worried. The sea had grown quiet and strange. Boats returned empty, nets tangled, spirits low. The people feared hunger if the silence continued. Nereus listened carefully to the waves. He waded into the tide, closing his eyes. And soon, he heard the truth. Far below, the creatures were restless. The dolphins feared the shadow of a drifting net. The turtles hid from floating debris. The whales mourned for waters clouded with waste. Nereus felt their sorrow in his heart. He knew the sea was asking for care, so he spoke to the people of the coast. He told them of the voices he heard. He explained the pain of the creatures below. At first, some doubted him, but then they saw the truth themselves. Nets caught more than fish, trapping life needlessly. Waste from the land drifted into the tides. The sea was wounded by careless hands. Nereus begged them to change their ways. He showed them how to weave nets with care. He taught them when to rest the waters. He guided them to fish with balance, not greed. Slowly, the ocean grew alive again. Fish returned to the shallow reefs. Dolphins danced once more in the waves. Whales sang songs that echoed across the horizon. The villagers no longer doubted the boy. They honored him as a guardian of creatures. But Nereus kept no title for himself. He remained the same gentle soul, walking by the shore, listening to the tides. Children followed him, eager to learn. They too began to care for the sea. Nereus showed them how to greet dolphins with laughter. He taught them patience, the way turtles taught him. He reminded them that all life was connected. And as the years passed, his bond deepened. The creatures sought him even in dreams. He would wake with the sound of whales in his heart, or with the gentle whisper of shells on his pillow. He knew the ocean trusted him forever. When storms came, he was never afraid, for the dolphins guided him home safely. When fog covered the waters, he listened. The whales sang to lead him through, and when his days grew long and gray, he still walked to the shore every dawn. The seals greeted him with playful splashes. The dolphins leapt as if to sing his name. The turtles circled his feet with calm trust. And in the distance, the whales rose in farewell. The people say his spirit lingers still. They say if you sit by the sea in silence, you may hear laughter carried by dolphins, or the deep hum of whales beneath the tide. When you do, remember Nereus, the boy who listened, the keeper of creatures, the second child of Poseidon. The sea has places where no sunlight falls, dark caverns, silent trenches, and gardens unseen by human eyes. Yet within that mystery lived a child of Poseidon. Her name was Thalassa, the dreamer of depths. From the moment she was born, her eyes shimmered, not with sunlight, but with colors of the ocean floor. She could see visions no other could imagine. Coral palaces rising like cathedrals beneath the waves. Caves lit by creatures glowing with gentle light. Forests of kelp swaying like dancers in silence. Every night, she dreamed of these hidden wonders, and every morning, she shared them with the world. The villagers gathered to hear her speak. Her words painted pictures brighter than any canvas. Children listened with wide eyes and open hearts. Sailors dreamed of voyages to places beyond maps. Poets wove her visions into songs and verses. Painters tried to capture the glow she described, though none could match the beauty of her dreams. Thalassa never needed to see with her eyes. She carried the depths within her soul. And in silence, the ocean trusted her. For when she dreamed truly. One night, she saw a cavern of light. Its walls shimmered with crystals of every shade. A river of silver ran through the darkness, and in that river swam fish like living stars. She told the people, and they doubted her. How could such wonders exist so deep? But her voice carried certainty, calm and true. They believed because her heart held no lies. In time, explorers ventured out with courage. They returned with shells unknown to the land, colors that glowed faintly even in the dark, proof that her visions were more than dreams. Thalassa smiled, but quietly, for she knew her gift was not for proof. It was to remind the world of wonder. Not everything needed to be touched to be real. Sometimes beauty lived only in the unseen. Years passed, and her visions grew deeper. She saw ruins of cities swallowed by tides. She dreamed of statues covered in coral, silent temples guarded by fish and seaweed, stories forgotten by mortals but remembered by waves. She carried these tales gently, never with fear. For to her, the ocean was not darkness. It was memory, alive and breathing. The villagers grew to cherish her gift. Whenever storms passed and nights felt heavy, they gathered around to hear her speak. Her words lifted their hearts like sunlight breaking clouds. One evening, she told of a glowing garden, a place where the sea itself seemed to sing. Its flowers were anemones, its trees were coral, and the song was carried by every current. She said it was the ocean's own heart, a reminder that even in silence, it beats. The people listened, tears in their eyes, for her voice made them believe in beauty again. Thalassa grew older, but her dreams remained. Even when her eyes dimmed, her visions glowed brighter. She spoke of hidden kingdoms with gentle certainty. And when her final night came, she dreamed once more. She saw herself walking into the glowing cavern. The fish welcomed her like stars returning home. The crystals shimmered as if greeting their keeper, and the silver river carried her softly away. The next morning, she was gone, but her words remained in the hearts of many. Sailors spoke of her dreams while crossing the seas. Artists painted visions they swore came from her. Poets wrote lines filled with light and longing. And the villagers still tell her stories by firelight. They say, if you close your eyes by the shore, you may see colors where none should be. And if you dream that night, listen closely, for the ocean may be sharing Thalassa's gift, the dreamer of depths, the third child of Poseidon. The ocean touches every shore. It carries stories from one land to another, and sometimes it carries people too. Among those blessed by the sea was Aeon. He was the fourth child of Poseidon. From his earliest days, he wandered. His feet walked the sand, his eyes the horizon. He could not stay in one place for long. The sea called to him like a mother's song. Yet he was not pulled into its depths. Instead, he walked the line between land and tide. Aeon was a traveler of shores. Wherever he went, he carried the ocean's calm. Villagers along distant coasts welcomed him gladly. He brought no gold, no riches, no trade. Yet he brought knowledge greater than treasures. He taught fishermen when to set their sails. He showed farmers how the tides could guide planting. He told children stories of faraway beaches. And in return, he listened to their tales. Every place he visited grew brighter with connection. For Aeon was not only a wanderer, he was a bridge. One summer, he walked into a village troubled. Two clans lived on opposite shores of a bay. They argued over fishing grounds and tides. The waters grew restless with their quarrel. Aeon watched in silence for many days. He listened to the sea before he spoke. At last, he gathered both clans at dusk. The waves glowed silver in the setting sun. Aeon raised his hand and told them a truth. The sea does not belong to one alone. Its gifts flow to all who listen. He shared stories from distant lands, stories of villages that worked with the ocean, of people who fished in harmony with tides. He spoke gently, yet with unshakable strength. His words carried the weight of waves. Slowly, the clans began to listen. They saw the wisdom in his travels. That night, they shared a meal together, and from then on, the bay was peaceful. The sea grew calm, the fish returned. Children played on both shores without fear. Aeon smiled, knowing the ocean was content. For when harmony lives on land, the sea breathes freely. His journeys continued for many years. Each place he visited added to his heart. He carried shells from every shore, each one a reminder of the people he met. The poor fisherman who taught him patience, the kind grandmother who gave him bread, the little child who showed him laughter. To Aeon, every person was a wave, and together, they formed the ocean of life. As he grew older, his steps slowed. But he never stopped walking the line of tides. He could still be seen at twilight, a tall figure on the sand, staff in hand. He gazed at the horizon with gentle eyes. The people began to call him the Wayfarer. Some said he was a guide sent by the sea. Others believed he was the ocean's messenger. Aeon never corrected them, for he knew titles meant little. What mattered was the peace he left behind. One evening, he walked farther than ever before. The tide rose to meet his feet. The horizon burned with colors of farewell. And as the last light touched the sea, Aeon vanished beyond the waves. The villagers searched, but he was gone. Only his staff remained on the shore. They say he became the tide itself, forever walking from coast to coast, guiding strangers, uniting hearts, carrying stories. And sometimes, when you walk by the sea, you may see footprints where no one has walked. Then you will know Aeon has passed by, the traveler of shores, the fourth child of Poseidon. The ocean does not only move in waves, it also moves in silence, in depths unseen. And from those depths came Nerea. She was the fifth child of Poseidon. Her gift was unlike her brothers and sisters. Nerea could hear the secret voice of the sea, not the roaring storms or crashing tides, but the soft whispers deep below. She listened where others could not. In the stillness of night, she heard songs, the songs of whales calling across oceans, the murmurs of coral breathing with the currents, the hidden language of shells, stones, and sand. Every sound told her a secret truth. Every whisper carried wisdom of the sea. When she walked among mortals, she was quiet. Children gathered around her, curious and wide-eyed. She would kneel and place a shell to their ear. "Listen," she whispered. "The ocean speaks to you too." Some laughed, hearing only rushing water. But others swore they caught a voice, a lullaby, a story, or a name. Nerea smiled, for each child heard what they needed. For her gift was not in telling, but in guiding. She helped others listen to the silence within. One autumn, a coastal town faced despair. The fish had vanished, and the nets came back empty. The people feared the sea had turned against them. Nerea walked along the dark shore at night. She placed her hand upon the tide. She closed her eyes and let the whispers come. The ocean spoke of imbalance, not anger. A storm had shifted the waters. The fish had not left forever. They had simply moved with the currents. The town only needed patience and trust. At dawn, she told the villagers her truth. Some doubted her soft words, but others remembered her kindness, her quiet wisdom. They waited, and within days, the fish returned. The village sang songs of thanks by the shore, and Nerea stood apart, listening to the waves. For it was not her voice that saved them. It was the sea, speaking through her. She often wandered cliffs where seabirds soared. There she found solace in the wind and foam. She left behind carvings of shells and spirals, symbols of listening, etched into stone. Travelers carried these marks across lands. Soon they became signs of hope and calm, a reminder to pause and listen, not just to the sea, but to life itself. Years passed, and Nerea grew older. Her hair carried streaks of silver like moonlit water, yet her eyes still gleamed with ocean secrets. One night, she walked to a hidden cove. The tide shimmered with silver light. She knelt upon the sand, her ear to the waves. She whispered, "I am listening." And, for the first time, the ocean answered her name. A sound so tender it filled her soul. When the tide receded, she was gone. Only shells remained, arranged in spirals. The villagers found them at sunrise. They understood without words. Nerea had returned to the sea's embrace, but her gift remained in every wave. Even now, if you walk the shore at night and place your ear close to a shell, you may hear her voice among the whispers, soft, patient, eternal, the listener of the deep, the fifth child of Poseidon. The sea can rage with storms. It can whisper with tides, but it can also shine with wonder. From that wonder came Thalos. He was the sixth child of Poseidon, and his gift was light. Thalos could touch the water and summon radiance. Wherever he walked, the sea shimmered with colors. Fish glowed like lanterns, and shells gleamed like stars. Children followed him, laughing in delight. For to them, he was a living festival. Thalos never sought power or worship. He only wished to bring joy. In the darkness of night, he lit the shores. Villages once fearful of shadows found hope. Fishermen guided their boats by his glow. Families gathered to watch the sea sparkle. They told stories beneath his light. And they remembered that beauty, too, was a gift. One year, a village faced a long, bitter winter. The nights were endless, and spirits grew dim. People huddled indoors, afraid of the dark. Thalos walked to the frozen shore. He placed his hands into the sea, and light bloomed beneath the ice. Golden waves rolled across the frozen bay. The darkness lifted, replaced by shimmering color. Children ran out to dance upon the glowing snow. The villagers sang, their voices strong again. Thalos stood apart, smiling quietly. For he had given them warmth without flame. The sea had become their lantern. In his travels, he left behind trails of glow, marks in the sand that shone until dawn. Travelers followed them, finding their way safely. Sailors swore his light guided them home. Even distant lands spoke his name with wonder. They called him the beacon of the deep. But Thalos did not cling to titles. He believed light belonged to everyone, so he shared it freely, asking nothing in return. As the years passed, his glow grew softer. Yet it never faded, only gentled. He would sit by the sea at twilight. Children brought him shells to brighten. Elders asked him to light their paths, and he always did, with joy. One evening, he told the children a story. He said the sea's light lived in their hearts too. That kindness was a glow brighter than any lantern. They listened, wide-eyed, clutching glowing shells, and they carried his lesson into their lives. When Thalos grew old, he walked once more to the shore. The sea was calm, the horizon silver. He raised his hands one last time, and the water erupted in colors unseen before. It was not just light, but living art. Shapes of whales, birds, and stars danced on the waves. The sky mirrored the sea in brilliance. People gathered, awestruck by the wonder. And when the light faded, Thalos was gone. Only glowing shells remained upon the sand. They shone through the night, then dimmed with dawn. But even as they faded, the people felt his gift. For Thalos had not vanished. He had become the light within every tide, every sparkle upon a wave, every gleam in the foam. They say when the sea glows at night, it is Thalos laughing with the children of the shore, the beacon of the deep, the sixth child of Poseidon. The sea holds endless shapes and colors. It changes every hour, every tide, every season. From that change was born Lyra. She was the seventh child of Poseidon. Her gift was transformation. Where others saw limits, Lyra saw possibility. She could shift her form like waves upon the shore. At dawn, she might appear as a fisherwoman. By noon, she could walk as a bird in flight. At night, she became a shadow upon the tide. But her greatest gift was not in disguise. It was in teaching others the power of change. Lyra wandered from village to village. She listened to people's burdens with care. The man who feared leaving his homeland, the woman who believed she was too weak to try, the child who wished to sing but stayed silent. Lyra showed them transformation was part of life. She said, "The sea is never the same twice, and yet it is always the sea. So too can you change and still remain yourself." One summer, a village faced a great drought. The river dried, the crops wilted, hope faded. The people feared the end had come. Lyra walked into the empty riverbed. She pressed her hands into the cracked earth. Then she shifted, becoming water itself. Her body turned into a flowing stream. Clear, cool, endless, it poured into the riverbed. The water spread, and life returned to the fields. The people cried out in awe and joy. But when the river flowed strong again, Lyra vanished. Only her laughter echoed in the wind. For she did not give them water alone. She gave them faith in renewal. Her gift became a legend whispered across lands. Travelers spoke of a woman who was never the same twice, a figure who could turn sorrow into hope. They called her the Shapeless Tide. But Lyra herself never claimed a name. She was content to be a lesson, a reminder that life was made to change. As years passed, she grew quieter. Her transformations became gentle and subtle. She shifted into songs, into smiles, into silence. and still, people felt her presence. One evening, as the sun set red upon the sea, she stood upon a high cliff, watching the horizon. Her body shimmered like water and light. She whispered, "Change is the only constant." And with that, she dissolved into mist. The wind carried her across the waves. The people searched, but found no trace. Only a single shell remained on the cliff. Its surface shimmered with colors that never stayed still. Red, blue, green, silver, shifting endlessly. They placed it in the heart of the village, and it became a symbol of courage to change. Even now, those who hold the shell close say they feel Lyra's spirit urging them forward, to grow, to try, to transform, to remember the sea is never the same, and yet it is always the sea. So too are we, shifting, learning, becoming, the tide of transformation. The seventh child of Poseidon. The sea is filled with rhythm. Waves rise and fall, tides come and go. In every sound, there is music. From this music came Selene. She was the eighth child of Poseidon. Her gift was song. Selene's voice carried the tones of the ocean. When she sang, waves stilled to listen. Birds paused in their flight. Even the stars seemed to linger longer. Her song could mend sorrow. It could lift heavy hearts and soften grief. People who heard her felt lighter, freer, for her music was not just sound. It was the sea's heartbeat. Selene wandered from shore to shore. She sang in villages where hope was dim. She sang in harbors where sailors feared storms. She sang to children, to elders, to strangers. Her voice wrapped around them like a tide. One summer, a terrible silence fell on a town. A sickness had spread, leaving people weak and weary. The laughter of children was gone. The songs of the market were hushed. The sea itself seemed muted. Selene came quietly, carrying no cure but her song. At night, she sang beneath the moon, soft at first, like the whisper of waves, then stronger like the pull of the tide. The people leaned from windows, listening. Their hearts remembered joy. Children hummed along, elders wept gently. The village stirred with life once more. By dawn, voices joined hers in chorus. Together they sang until the sickness passed, not by magic, but by spirit renewed. The sea echoed their strength back to them. Selene left before sunrise, but the villagers never forgot. They called her the ocean's song. Her legend spread far beyond the coasts. Travelers carried her melodies to distant lands. And still, her voice returned whenever it was needed. For Selene believed song belonged to all. She never sang to be remembered. She sang so others would find their own voice. As years passed, her voice grew softer. Yet even in whispers, it was powerful. Children pressed close, eager to hear. She told them the sea sang in them too, that every laugh, every story, was a song. One evening, she walked to a quiet cove. The moon shone silver on the tide. Selene sang her final song. It was gentle, tender, eternal. The waves carried it across the world. And when the last note faded, she was gone. Only seashells remained on the sand. Each one hummed faintly when held to the ear. The villagers kept them as treasures, a reminder that music never truly ends. Even now, if you walk by the shore at night and hear a faint melody in the wind, it may be Selene, still singing, her song rising with the tide, soft, eternal, unbroken, the ocean's song, the eighth child of Poseidon. The sea holds not only beauty, but wisdom. In its depths are truths too vast to measure. From these truths was born Orion. He was the ninth child of Poseidon. His gift was sight beyond sight. Orion could see the patterns of the world. Where others saw chance, he saw meaning. Where others saw chaos, he saw order. The stars spoke to him. The tides whispered. Even the wind carried messages he could read. Orion did not boast of his visions. He spoke rarely, but when he did, people listened, for his words were like lighthouses in the dark, guiding ships, guiding hearts, guiding choices. One winter, sailors feared to cross the sea. Storms raged, clouds hid the sky, waves rose high. No compass could steady their hands. No star could mark their path. Orion stood on the shore, watching. He closed his eyes and listened. The sea sang of hidden currents. The stars whispered of breaks in the storm. He told the sailors, "Go east at dawn, not night. Follow the gulls, for they know the calm." The sailors obeyed, though fear clung to them. At dawn they sailed, as he had said. The gulls circled and the waves eased. The storm broke open to reveal sunlight. The sailors returned with treasures and tales. They said Orion's eyes saw what others could not. Soon people came from distant lands. Kings asked of wars, farmers of weather, lovers of fate. But Orion never claimed to see the future. He only read the present with deeper sight. He told them, "The sea does not know tomorrow, but it knows the now, and that is enough." One evening, he climbed a high hill. He looked at the stars and traced their lines. He saw not destiny, but connection. Every light bound to another, like threads of a net. He realized the sea and sky were the same, endless, vast, full of patterns, unbroken. He whispered, "We are all threads in the tide." As years passed, his visions grew quieter. He spoke less, watched more. Children asked him to tell them stories. He told them of stars that never dim, of waves that never stop, of hearts that never walk alone. One night, the villagers found him at the shore. He was seated, eyes open, gazing at the horizon. The moon shone silver upon his face. But Orion was still, like a statue of stone. They knew he had gone where vision cannot follow. In his hand lay a smooth stone. It was clear as glass, shimmering faintly. When held, it showed reflections not of faces, but of dreams, of hopes, of hidden courage. The villagers placed it in the temple. Travelers came to hold it and find clarity, and each swore they felt Orion's calm within. Even now, when the night is clear, and the stars stretch endless across the sky. Some say Orion still walks among them, tracing lines only he can see. The silent guide, the eye of the tide, the ninth child of Poseidon. The sea is more than waves and storms. It is also a mirror of the heart. From that reflection was born Thalos. He was the 10th child of Poseidon. His gift was empathy. Thalos could feel the emotions of others. When someone wept, he wept too. When someone rejoiced, his laughter joined theirs. He carried the weight of countless hearts. But he never saw it as a burden. He saw it as a bridge. For Thalos believed no soul was ever alone. One spring, he visited a fishing village. The people were silent, heavy with grief. A storm had claimed many of their boats. Families waited for voices that would not return. The air was thick with sorrow, unspoken. Thalos walked among them, listening. He felt their pain as his own. But instead of drowning in it, he held it gently. That night, he gathered the villagers by the shore. He said, "The sea took much, but it left us together." He asked each person to speak one memory aloud, of fathers, brothers, sisters, friends lost to the tide. One by one, voices broke the silence. Tears fell, laughter flickered, stories blossomed. The pain shifted into shared strength. The people embraced, no longer alone. From that night, the village healed. They built new boats, stronger than before, and each carried carvings of waves and hearts entwined, a reminder of Thalos's gift. Word of his compassion spread across the lands. Kings asked for his counsel, beggars for his ear, but he treated all the same. To him, every soul was precious. He said, "The sea does not measure depth by wealth. It measures by the tide within." As years passed, Thalos grew weary, not from age, but from carrying so much feeling. Yet he never closed his heart. Children came to him with scraped knees. Lovers came with broken promises. Sailors came with fear of storms. Thalos listened, always patient, always kind. One evening, he walked alone by the sea. The horizon glowed with a fading sun. He whispered, "I have carried all I can." The waves reached gently for his feet. The tide rose, cradling him like a child, and slowly, he vanished into the water. In the morning, the villagers found a gift, a small stone heart upon the sand. Its surface shimmered as if alive. When held, it warmed with comfort, easing sorrow, kindling hope. The villagers placed it in their square. Anyone who felt heavy with grief touched it and felt lighter, stronger, connected. They called it the Heart of the Tide, a symbol of Thalos's endless empathy. Even now, when waves crash on lonely shores, some say they hear his voice within, soft, gentle, carrying comfort. You are not alone. The tide listens. The sea feels. The 10th child of Poseidon. The sea has no end, and so too the stories. The children of Poseidon walked many paths. Each left behind gifts, memories, and legends. Some became whispers on the tide. Others became treasures held in villages. All became part of the sea's song. The people remembered them not as gods, but as guides, friends, teachers, and kin. The seashell that sang of joy, the crystal that shimmered with vision, the stone heart that carried warmth. Each told of lives lived with meaning, not power, not conquest, but love and wisdom. Travelers spread the tales far and wide. Mountains echoed with their names. Rivers carried their stories inland. Fireside songs told of their deeds. Children grew up hearing of the ocean's song, the shapeless tide, the eye of the tide, the heart of the tide, and many more. Each child of Poseidon was different, yet each carried the same essence of the sea. Change, renewal, rhythm, vision, empathy. Together they were not rulers. They were reminders that the sea lives in all of us, that we too hold gifts within, that even small acts ripple outward like waves. One evening, as the stars shimmered high, a gathering was held by the shore. Villagers, sailors, travelers, and children came. They built a great fire near the waves and shared the stories once more, not as myths, but as truths of the heart. They said, "We are the children of the sea too," and their voices rose like a tide, strong, united, endless. The waves answered, carrying their song away, across oceans, across time, into tomorrow and beyond. Some say that on quiet nights, if you listen, you can still hear their voices, echoing from shells, from stones, from stars, guiding, comforting, reminding that life is not fixed. It flows like water. It sings like waves. It transforms like the tide. The legacy of Poseidon's children endures, not in temples of stone, not in crowns of gold, but in hearts that choose to hope, in hands that choose to build, in voices that choose to sing. The sea remains vast and eternal, and so too do its children, not gone but part of every tide, every breeze that crosses the water, every glimmer of light on the horizon, every laugh, every tear, every song. The sea carries them, and they carry us. For we are all threads in the ocean's story, waves upon waves, tides upon tides. Children of the sea, children of Poseidon.